Hey y'all, hey, it's JJ Conway. I'm so excited to be with y'all today. I am I am just thrilled to be here because we're gonna be talking about one of my favorite topics today. And if I could just be a little vain for a second, some of y'all know my I had a lot of medical issues that forced me to retire from the Air Force. And then I moved out to rural Texas and became a stay-at-home mom and put on like 30 pounds. And I have been working so hard since that realization hit me like a 2x4 to get myself back together. And I was watching that countdown. I'm gonna put it back on real quick. Y'all gonna have to indulge me. But I'm like, oh, my face is kind of starting to look back like it used to when I first retired from the Air Force. Check. Okay, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. All right. All right. So that's my vain moment of the day. I'm excited to be with y'all tonight. Like I mentioned a second ago, we're going to be talking about foreclosure consulting. It's one of my favorite things in real estate because it's something that everybody can do to get involved in real estate without having to spend money. And so you might have to spend some time and you might choose to spend a couple dollars here or there. And by a couple, I mean 10, not 10, 100. I love how you go to these things and everyone's like, you can do this for free. Well, no, you can't really do it for free. You got to pay 500 for this and 1,000 for that. But foreclosure consulting is something you can absolutely use to get involved in real estate investing 100% free. All right. And so let's go ahead and call up the slides today. We do have a few announcements. I want to let everybody know where I'm going and what I'm doing because now that my son is about to graduate, I'm going to start traveling more again. But first, coming up, we've got the workshop that's going to correspond to this foreclosure consulting. We're going to do a 2-hour deep dive Wednesday, the 29th of May. You can get into that class for only $20.24. So I hope you'll be there with me. All right. And then what we're going to do real quick is we're going to here we go. We're going to talk about some upcoming events, and then I'm going to go into the meat of the talk today, and then we're going to do our opportunity to dig deeper. Again, you already saw it. It's only $20.24. So you spend more than that. Look, I spend more than that each week at the tea place. So let's spend a little bit. Let's invest a little bit to help secure our future, y'all. Help secure our future. Because it's time out for people stuck in toxic jobs who have all this education and have all this capacity and all this capability and all of this experience, but we're chained to these toxic jobs because we don't have a way to create our own income path. We don't have a way to create our own income streams. Well, after what I share with you today, you absolutely will have a way to create your own income streams. And if that's something you want to dig deeper into, then you need to be at the 29 May, oops, wrong way. Then you need to be at the 29 May workshop for only $20.24. All right. All right. So I'm going to do some announcements. Some of y'all saw this one. Next week, my son graduates. Whoop, whoop. Yay, Philip. Congratulations. Congratulations. I probably should have put a Cash App on there. I did not put a Cash App on there. But you know what? I'll drop it in here. For those of you who don't know, my PayPal, my Venmo, my Cash App, they're all the same. I think Cash App has a $sign in front of it, but they're all the same. It's Queen of Cash Flow. All right, so you can drop him a little gift in there if you want to bless that young man. All right. That's next week. So if you're local, you are invited to come party with us because we booked a fantastic facility, the Chillaxin Inn, an amazing facility. All right. And there's always room for one more. So we've got plenty of space for you, but we do ask that you RSVP because it is not going to be my fault. Let me say it again. It is not going to be my fault if you don't get any banana pudding because you didn't RSVP. All right. And if you can't come, please go ahead and go out to that site, jjclink.com/Philip, so that you can leave him an encouraging word. The next event I want to tell you about is right after his graduation. I'm flying out to Atlanta and going to drive up to Warner Robins, Georgia for the International Elect Ladies Conference. Many of you know I'm our Southwest Elect Ladies jurisdictional coordinator. So our churches, the geographical area of Texas, Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma. And when I was in Louisiana, it included Louisiana, the top half of Louisiana, because we've got another church. Actually, I don't know if we have another church. I think they're in Biloxi. That's Mississippi. Never mind. But anyway, we're gonna be out of Warner Robins, Georgia. I would love to see you there if you're in the area. All right. And then what I'm going to do normally normally the day after we get back from the Elect Ladies Conference, so that Memorial Day Sunday, usually what we have done is we have driven up to Hot Springs or driven down to Galveston for a reconnect with myself retreat. So basically an overnight away from the hustle and bustle, we did this by accident in Hot Springs the first time. We discovered by accident that everything pretty much shuts down in Hot Springs after like noonish, 2 o'clock on Memorial Day. And so we started going up there on Memorial Day. If it was an Elect Ladies year, we would go to Elect Ladies, then we would come back, and then we would go up to my local ladies who couldn't make it to the Elect Ladies Conference. That's actually part of how this started. We would go up to Hot Springs, and we found out that because everything was pretty much closed except for a few restaurants, there weren't any distractions. So now when I do these reconnect retreats, I like to go to places that there may be amenities nearby, but we're not right in the middle of them. And so I still haven't figured out what location is going to be in Atlanta, but rather than try to plan something here in Stephenville, which I couldn't do it last year. We ended up in Galveston the year before that, which was kind of far. Not too far, but it was kind of far. And so I said, you know what, I'm just going to tack on an extra day. And whatever we do, if you're in the Atlanta area, whatever we end up doing, I hope that you will join me. It's not just downtime, but it is time for reflection. It's time to go through some classic works on wealth attraction and wealth building, and also marry them up with biblical principles, and it's time to get reconnected with who we are and whose we are and what it is we're about. So that's something that I'll be doing next week after the graduation. On June 7th, we're going to have our Women's Wealth Summit down in Houston and Galveston area. This is a pop-up summit. Why is this a pop-up summit? Oh, you all can't see the slide. Hold on. This is a pop-up summit, and the reason this is a pop-up summit this time is because our travel agent for our 10th anniversary of the Women's Wealth Summit, she ghosted us. And so I've got some other people that recommended other travel agents, and I'm interviewing them to see who's going to help stand in the gap. But I was like, I'm not going to take a chance. And so when we had the opportunity to go down to the Galveston area, I was like, we're going to jump on it. So I don't have all the details yet, and it's not going to be the same level of production, but it's going to be good. I've already got a couple of amazing speakers lined up. So if you are in Houston or Galveston kind of area, maybe even Beaumont or so, you want to be there June the 7th. I think that's a Friday. Okay. So that's then. Then the weekend after that, we're heading out to Abilene for my son's going to be, my oldest is going to be in the All-Star game. I just had to give him a little nod there. I'm just so proud of him. And then, y'all, I'm so excited for Juneteenth Legacy. And I was so sad, y'all. I was so sad when all this craziness started going down with the Legacy Center. Because if you've never seen the Legacy Center in Atlanta, it is an amazing facility. And I was like, Legacy Center, Juneteenth Legacy Conference. This is our 6th annual conference. I really would have liked to have had it in the Legacy Center in Atlanta. And it is, they have that phrase, it is what it is. I always hated that phrase, but now I find myself using it. There's just certain things that are beyond our control, and I can't control how someone else runs their business. And so they're taking care of whatever they got to take care of. And I don't know who's going to buy that facility. I don't know all the details about it, but I know one thing, we're going to be virtual this year so we could take the drama out of the equation. I'm a very big fan in reducing drama in your life. And I think this is something that will serve a lot of people very well. Okay. And we're going to get to real estate in just a second. I'm going to teach you a lot about foreclosure consulting, but this is an important point, okay? A lot of us, we don't like the drama and we don't like the toxicity, yet we continue to invite it into our life. And a lot of times we allow it to fester and continue, not because there's nothing else better for us, not because we don't know we need to release this from our lives, but because either ego, we don't want to admit we were wrong, or ego, we don't want other people to think we were wrong even if we weren't wrong, or fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown stops so many of us in our tracks from doing what we need to do. And when all of this stuff started to bubble up, I thought to myself, you know what? We're going to have our conference long before all that bubbles up to the courts and stuff. And then as the time began to approach, I was just like, you know what, this is getting to be too much. I don't have any stability. We're going to remove uncertainty and stability and remove uncertainty and instability from the equation. And we're just going to put the conference online. It's going to be more accessible to everybody anyway when we do it online, and it's an opportunity for us to broadcast some of the talks that people didn't get to see last year. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. We've got a fantastic lineup of speakers for you. And some of you today, some of you lucky people got the blessing. Let me tell you about this blessing. Now, this is one of those things that you're going to hear about on the Ladies of Wealth podcast. Hold on a second. Let me get a sip of some tea there. Those of you who don't know, if you're new to me and my body of work, one of the things we do is these Thursday night classes that we teach live, they get extracted into the Ladies of Wealth podcast. And so we're going to talk more about this. I might do it at the end of this, or I might do a separate session on it. But some people today got a blessing because I did not realize that I published the swag box mailed to your door with free shipping for the low cost of free $99. Y'all, when I saw that, I said, these people know what they're doing. They said, I'm going to get my blessing. And they sure did. Now I'm going to rest and assure you that I want you to be assured, if you ordered the box for free, I'm not going to make you pay for my mistake. All right. I'm going to let you get the box for free, but you better believe as soon as I caught that, we fixed that bad boy. It is not free. It is $39, but it's a really cool swag box. It's going to have the Juneteenth legacy bags that say I am Black excellence. And then you're going to get whatever the speakers have contributed in addition to some kind of writing pad or portfolio with our symbol on it. And so in years past, our speakers have contributed books and pens and CDs and MP3s and all those kinds of things. And you're going to get them. But yeah, somebody got the blessing today. And it's interesting because there's a how do I want to say it? You know what? I might as well just go ahead and talk on this now because I don't see our regulars on. And I know it's possibly because I started late. Wow, I really did start late. Oh my goodness. StreamYard was having trouble. I was trying to reconnect all my stuff. I was going around and around, and you know how it is. You reboot, you unplug, you plug back in, you do all the things. And then finally, after like an hour of trying to troubleshoot, I realized that what StreamYard lost access to wasn't my actual Facebook and Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube pages. It was the groups. So many of you may not know, but Facebook decided as of the end of April that they're not supporting third-party apps streaming into groups. Now there is a way to do it with what is it called? RMTP key. And so what I'm waiting is for somebody who I'm paying or the other software that I have lifetime access to. I'm waiting for somebody to figure it out and make that customized solution. I've tried playing around with OBS and it hasn't worked, but if these guys don't figure it out soon, I might just break down and hire somebody to help me set it up. Now, look, if you come knocking on my door, because I said that today, I already know who I'm going to hire. So please don't fill my account with spam about how you can help me set up OBS. Okay. I know that sounds kind of rude, but anytime I talk about health, I get all the people coming in. Hey, I can help you lose 20 pounds tomorrow. just pay $300 for my coaching program or my supplement. Or if I talk about this, or if I talk about that, I'm not asking you to spam my box. Even if you did, I don't do impulse anymore with my shopping. And I know that's not a pleasant thing for a lot of speakers, because the way a lot of speakers make their money is we tease up that emotion, we let you know how we can solve the problem, and then we offer our solution, and you get emotional and you buy it. And I want you to get emotional and buy my stuff, absolutely. But I'm not going to be mad at you if you don't buy it the day of, because I don't buy stuff anymore the day of. Because if it's an amazing opportunity, it'll be there later, or it'll come back around. Woo, y'all. I did not plan to say all that today. But now, have I ever bought something sight unseen the moment it was presented to me? Sure, if I already was familiar with the person selling it and I already knew that that's what I needed, right? But that's not the same as I went to a conference on a wing and a prayer, and the next thing I know, I'm $50,000 in debt because somebody said they were going to solve all my problems. Honey, the only person going to solve all your problems is you. And if you keep doing like that, you're going to create more problems. Woo, what was I really supposed to be talking about? I was talking about how StreamYard done took out all of our access to groups. And so the landscape of how social media is going to be used for streaming is changing. Already groups are starting to go defunct. I've been made admin of all these weird groups that I didn't even realize I was in. In fact, somebody texted me the other day and they said, "Hey, when did you become admin of the homeschool group?" And I was like, I am not the admin of the homeschool group. And I walk out there and look at it, and sure enough, somehow I'm admin of the homeschool group. And I'm like, I don't even homeschool. And so some groups Facebook asked me, did I want to be? So like I jumped on the Houston events one. Like that's an 8,000 subscriber page, and I changed it. I did my market research. I morphed it into something that wasn't being served in the moment, and now it's the Houston multicultural events group, and it's still rocking and rolling, and people are posting. And it didn't take very long to switch from being a group overrun with spam to being a group with all kinds of fantastic ethnic and amazing events. So anyhow, what I said all that to say is there is a change in how the business structure is going, okay? And we have to understand that we need to adapt to those changes, okay? And one of those changes with Facebook right now is that broadcasting in the groups. All right. So let me think. Is there something else I want to say on that before I go back to real estate? Yes, I do. Because we roundabout got there. I don't know how we got there. I don't know who needed to hear it. If it's you, go ahead and drop it in the P. Wait, I was about to say slide in the DMs. I don't want. That's not what I meant. But let me know if that relates to you at all. But really, the thing about with all of this, with the changes in the business is sometimes things don't go the way we need to go, and we have to learn to adapt and adjust. Okay. And then sometimes we make mistakes. Like I made this mistake. And if you're getting a free box, I'm not so happy you're getting a free box, but I'm happy for you that you were on it and you took action and you knew what you wanted and you jumped on it. But there are a lot of times when an opportunity comes up and we don't jump on it out of fear or out of self-preservation, mostly out of fear. We don't want to be wrong. We don't want to be wrong. We don't want to be taken advantage of. We don't want other people to laugh at us, And I'm going to tell you today, whatever you're doing in life, you've got to allow room for faith. You've got to allow room for faith. Okay. And so the other lesson that comes from this is from the other side of it. When you are an entrepreneur and you make a mistake like this, if you really can't do it, go back to your people and say, look, I'm so sorry. I can't absorb this cost. I'm going to have to, this was a clerical error. If I had it, I would give it back to you. I would give you this, but unfortunately I'm going to have to cancel out your order, but don't just either cancel their order or charge their card that you got them on keep. You sprung for the nice keep, KEAP, where it keeps their credit card on file. So anytime you talk to them on the phone and you get authorization to charge their card, you can click and boom and charge their card, right? Now don't do that to people. There's a lesson we'll talk about in our power principles later on in the year. We're going to get to that. It's called enslave no one. And we can nickel and dime people to death, but at the end of the day, the best thing you can do for your business is to maintain the relationship. All right. And it wasn't that many people that got a free box. So I can absorb that one. I call it stupid tax. I was like, that's stupid tax, because I did not pay attention. I was in a rush. I was trying to get all these different things done. And so there you go. All that stuff happened. But we want to be mindful of those kinds of things. And we want to be mindful of the energy we're putting out in our business, because you never know that when you make a mistake like that, that the very person who jumped on it could be someone who's struggling. Like I was struggling with $845,000 of debt. When I was struggling with $845,000 of debt, I didn't care how juicy your offer was. I didn't care how amazingly life-changing your coaching and your wealth system was. I was $845,000 in debt. There is no way I was going to buy your stuff. I was going to listen to what you had to say. I was going to take my notes on what you had to say. And then I was going to go to the library and look for resources that matched what you had to say. And that's just life. And I've learned in my business that there are people like that who are taking everything they can get, trying to pull up their life. And sometimes, y'all, I wish I could give you the full thought on what I want to say right now, because I can't, because it's in production. But sometimes there's a principle. I just want to say it. But I can't, because every time I say something, somebody else copyrights it first, or they start using it. So I'm not going to say it. But there's a principle there that sometimes we get more. In fact, Ivan, is it Meisner, the creator of Business Networking International? He has a phrase that says givers get. And so when you come to BNI, and I've only been a couple times, because there's not one within an hour and a half of here. But when I was in Louisiana, I was going to join there. You give first. You network at first, and you offer value first, and then you expect people to pour into you. And it's such a powerful concept. But sometimes it's not even about that. Sometimes the breadcrumbs we leave, sometimes the mistakes that we make, sometimes the people that we just let into the room, sometimes the people that we let volunteer their way into the room, they are the ones who need the blessing the most. And they're the ones who can take our content and run with it the most. And they're the ones who really want to change their lives. They didn't just come to see and be seen. They came because they know desperately deep down inside that something's got to change. And they're hoping that you've got what it is that they need to change. And I believe that like attracts like today. So if you're on my channel, I see that Dr. Eric Holmes is on here helping people get published and all those things, telling their stories. If you are watching me today and you've been here before, then I know you also have a powerful message to share, and you have something that people need to elevate their lives. Yes, I'm going to get to talking about foreclosure consulting. Don't, if you're here for that, hang with me. But let me speak into somebody's life first. This isn't just about selling classes. This isn't just about filling rooms and conferences. I love the conferences that I put on. But if they don't change lives, I haven't done my job. And so my job is to change lives, to equip God's people. And sometimes equipping God's people doesn't look like money in the bank, but it can lead to money in the bank. The people that allowed me to affiliate sales my way into their classes, the people that allowed me to volunteer my way into their summits, the people that allowed me to do whatever I had to do when I didn't have any money to afford their products, those people, I still put people into their courses. I still, out of gratitude, I still advertise them whenever I tell those stories. I still funnel people their way, because they were a blessing to me, and they are a part of all the success I'm going to have. They are a part of that success, and hopefully will be a part of that reward. All right. Oh, y'all, I hope you enjoyed that today. And if you're listening to me as part of the podcast, well, this is the kind of fun stuff you get on the Thursday Night Live classes that we record the podcasts on. So I encourage you to jump in on our Thursday night classes. We are playing around with moving to a daytime broadcast. Okay. So I do want your input on that. the couple of times we've broadcast during the day, we've had way more engagement and way more visibility than when we've broadcast at night. It used to be the other way around. And so we may move that. I've been teaching on Thursday nights since what, 2013? When did we start that first real estate investing class? I think it was 2013 when I first moved back to Virginia. And so it's been a long time. We've got established energy at this time slot. But the world has changed in 11 years. And so if things have changed, we might have to change with it. All right. All right. So let me see. I think I have some more announcements. Do I? Well, you know what? You want to go into juneteenthlegacy.com and get your tickets. All right. But if you got that blessing, I hope you enjoyed I hope you enjoy your blessing, and I hope everybody else gets a good lesson out of it. All right, two more events that I'm letting you know about, because people always ask me where I'm at and where they can come see me in person. I'll be at the General Assembly in Mobile, Alabama. This is my church international General Assembly. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Unless you're taking me to lunch, or unless I'm taking you to lunch, it's probably the other way around though at this event. I'm working, I'm teaching, I'm on faculty, I'm helping with the academic department. I mean, I wear a lot of hats, and unless we're connecting over an early morning or a lunchtime kind of meal, I am probably not available, because we're pretty much reserving our time for prayer and service. However, a girl's got to eat. So if you want to be a part of that nourishment, that physical nourishment, those would be the times to meet me, either morning breakfast, early morning breakfast, or lunches downtown Mobile, Alabama. All right. And then the last one, I'm so excited about this one, y'all. I'm so excited about this. Now, I've been doing ladies retreats since 2018 is when I did my very first ladies retreat. And the reconnect with my retreat was originally for the ladies of my church in Louisiana, but it was never a religious retreat. Okay. It was a reconnection retreat, and it was an artistic retreat, and it was an open up our energy retreat, and it had underpinnings of our faith, but it wasn't for ministry. And this is for ministry. We tested the waters last year with our local elect ladies retreat down in College Station, and now this year we'll be holding a Southwest jurisdiction elect ladies optional retreat in Sandia, Albuquerque area, July 20th to 21st. I am so excited about this. If you are in the ministry, if you are a woman in ministry, especially if you're a pastor or a minister or any role that's traditionally held by men, or if you just really love the Lord and you love to witness to him, but you're seeing that times have changed, this is a great place to get refreshed, to get reconnected, to get reblued. And I'm really excited to be able to take the talent that I have in the natural world for putting together conferences and now apply that talent to my church, to my home church. We did it on a small scale last year. It was so awesome. And now we're going to do it on a jurisdictional scale. It is going to be a small group though, because it's an optional retreat. Our official Southwest Jurisdictional Elect Ladies meeting will be held with the Brotherhood meeting in September, but this is just a little mini blessing. Okay. And so because it's not a required event, I'm kind of expecting the crowd to be very small, which means we'll all get more out of it. Yeah, I'm so excited. That pink is really pink. I may have to do something about that pink, because that is a really pink. But I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Now let's get on to our main course tonight. I've given you all the updates on where I'm going to be over the next couple of weeks. And let's get into the meat of what we're talking about today. And for those of you who haven't been on one of my real estate classes before, I always make two promises. It's very rare that I don't make these two promises. I always make the first one, and I usually make the second one. The first promise is I'm going to give you information that you can actually go out tonight and put what I'm teaching to use. I'm going to equip you with tools to do your research. I'm going to equip you with places to understand what to do and what not to do. I'm going to equip you with things that you can use tonight to start earning money tomorrow. Okay. And that's my first promise to you. And the second promise for you is, because this is a short class, Or maybe you're listening to this as part of the Ladies of Wealth podcast, and we don't put the whole broadcast into the podcast. All right, we put enough of it in, but then we encourage you to go get the full recording out on YouTube, or wherever else. And sometimes, you just want to dig deeper. And so we're going to have a follow-on workshop. We're going to have a 2-hour workshop to dig deeper. And from then on, those who really feel like this is going to work for them, we have opportunities for you to come in and get mentored every month until you get comfortable that you can close these deals. Because this is one of the easiest ways to get involved in real estate investing. Okay. Quick admin notes before we begin. If you want to ask a question, and Dr. Eric, I appreciate you giving me all these comments. I love when people do that, and I feel so bad that I wasn't paying attention to them when I was making the points. I'll try and do better. I guess I better hire me an admin to do this. But if you have a question, I would like you to drop it in the chat, okay? If you would prefer to ask an anonymous question, you can go out to askjjc.com. It'll take you to a Google form and you can ask your question. I'll answer those Google form questions at the end. Google has been finicky. I don't know what's going on with all these softwares, but Google has been finicky. It eats up a lot of energy on my computer lately, and a lot of the Google services, the mail, the calendar. I mean, I got okay, this is not why the Google is not working, but I've got, I think, 10 different Google accounts, Gmail accounts, and I've had those for like years. So they worked before on older computers and slower computers, and this computer, I don't know what's going on now, but sometimes that form doesn't play well with the StreamYard. So we are not mixing and matching until the very end. Okay. Probably didn't need to say all that, but I just want to make sure people understand. All right, this is a fundraiser, and I run, wait, can y'all see those slides? Yeah, okay, good. I run 2 global youth initiatives. We did not do a global youth initiative of Northwest Louisiana this year. Quite frankly, we didn't raise enough money to make the trip out there and then book the facilities that we need. But we run Global Youth Initiative of Northwest Louisiana, pretty much in the Shreveport area, and then we do Global Youth Initiative of Erath County, which is where I live now in Texas. And we look at personality. We help youth uncover their strengths, build their confidence. Depending on the age level, we look at college and career prep. One of my favorite talks to give them is free money for college. And I just knew that my son was going to have his entire college just funded and paid for because his mom has been teaching free money for college for like 5 years now, right? But unfortunately, you don't get free money for college unless you do the work. So he got some free money for college, but he's going to have to work a little bit while he's in college. I told him I'll cover the tuition, but he going to have to, all his spending and all his food and all his drippy clothes, he's going to have to take care of that himself. So, and his phone. We are making arrangements. Y'all, it's going to be a big day. We're making arrangements to transfer his phone. But one of the things that I really like about the way we execute the Global Youth Initiative is that we are very, very, very cognizant that some youth, even at an 8th or 9th grade level, struggle with reading and writing. And because we don't want to embarrass anyone, I have taken a lot of materials and content from John Maxwell team and other, well, it's all from John Maxwell team, but John Maxwell content. I have taken the John Maxwell content that is to be used for Global Youth Initiative, John Maxwell leadership and lessons, and sometimes you win and sometimes you learn, and the disc, the youth personality indicator, basically a youth version of DISC. I have taken those materials and I have translated them into formats that work for kids who really aren't reading and writing on par with their grade. So nobody has to be embarrassed in our classes because I walk them through everything, and we use visual cueing such as dots in order to execute what we're trying to do. Okay. And so to me, it's a very, very precious thing. If you would like to bring a Global Youth Initiative workshop into your school or your youth organization, like your scouts or your softball group or something like that, let me know. April and October every year is Global Youth Initiative. I'll be honest, In October, my version of Global Youth Initiative is whenever we're driving to a football game or some fun event, I throw a bunch of John Maxwell books in the back and we go through them for the whole 2 or 3 hours, however long it takes us to get. When you're in rural Texas, you are on the road all the time, right? So October football season, I don't do very much, but I will come to you if you set it up. I won't host one for myself because nobody in this town is coming to my event when they could be at a football game. All right. Okay, but this is a fundraiser. So if you screenshot any of the slides, or if you really like what you hear, if you just want to support some kids, please, sir, please, ma'am, send your donation in. You can PayPal or Cash App. I need to change that because I have Venmo now. And it's all three of them is the same as Queen of Cash Flow. Okay. All right. So let's start with a little bit of foundation. One of the things that I love about real estate is that you can make money from real estate in so many different ways, even if you never buy the property. I mean, buying the property is probably going to give you the biggest profit share if you buy it properly, buy the property properly. But you can also make money in industries related to investing, and then what we call ancillary services. So things like vending machines and ATMs. They have nothing to do with the real estate except the fact they're located at somebody else's real estate. Okay. And so there's lots of ways to make money with real estate investing. And real estate for me, as someone who's been helping people get out of debt since 1998, and somebody who's watched a lot of people get up on them real estate stages, y'all, let me look at you when I'm saying this. Let me switch the slide back to me. I have been on many of these real estate conventions, and I've watched the people get up on the stage, and they have sold people like me and you into thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of courses and products and deal analyzers and all the things. And 5 years later, those people are nowhere to be found. There's a couple that have been tried and tested, tried and true. Like my first real estate mentor, Sherman Ragland, he's still going strong. He's still teaching people how to get out of how to get out of the rat race and build a legacy for themselves, right? Alan Cowgill, who taught me how about private lending, even though it's not something I'm big into anymore. That's how we started off in real estate. And it's also how we got into $800,000 in debt, y'all. So your mileage may vary, but we didn't get into $800,000 of debt because we did what Alan said. We got into $800,000 of debt because we got foolish and we got egotistic and we didn't know how to analyze business cycles. All right. So Alan Cowgill, much appreciation for him. And he lets, Scott Shield, I don't get to go out to his events very often, but when I can, I do, because that's where I learned how to do property management, and it's funny because it's not a big part of their education platform anymore, because it's really more about hiring somebody else to do that. But like the big guide that I have for property management, my checklists and everything, all of that came from Scott Shield back in 2004, 5, 6. Yeah, Philip was a year old and my mom watched them for us so we could go to the conference. It was like 2006. So, so much love, much appreciation. Who else? Tim Cook here in the DFW area. Amazing real estate mentor and educator who's helped people build wealth with real estate, and he stood the test of time. But I could think in my mind, Mr. Landlord, Jeffrey Taylor. Y'all, Mr. Landlord is the real deal, and he stood the test of time. But month after month after month after month, I've gone to all these different real estate investment association meetings for years and years and years. And most of those people are here today and gone tomorrow. They're here today. They try to sell you into their stuff. And if they don't make enough money, they're gone tomorrow. And you say, oh, that's a shame. But guess what? A lot of us are like that in our businesses too. A lot of us are like that in our businesses. We get started and then we get all excited and then we're like, everybody's going to buy our stuff. And then nobody buys our stuff. And we don't understand why nobody buys our stuff, because at least our mama and our best friend from high school should have bought our stuff. But nobody buys our stuff because we haven't communicated it well, or they just don't need it, quite frankly, or somebody else swooped in and got their money first, whatever the reason. And then we give up. And then 6 months later, we start back up and we're like, hey, y'all, it's been a minute. I had to take time for self-care. I'm only saying this because I've done it. But with real estate, one of the great things about real estate is it is the only really ethical, repeatable way that I've seen people, like with my own eyeballs, build financial independence quick. There's all kinds of people out there that talk about be financially free in 7 years, and but financially free and this and be a millionaire overnight. Just press the easy button to millionaire status. I mean, you hear all that stuff, but with real estate is the only way that I've personally watched people do it. Now, I have friends who claim they've done it before I met them with certain types of trading, and I'm a big fan of I'm sorry, let me say that again. And I'm a big fan of slow, set it and forget it, real estate not real estate. Boy, I got my tongue tied up today. I am a big fan of set it and forget it with the stock market and mutual funds. Take that money out of your paycheck every month. In fact, if you can get that allotment come from before that before that money hits your bank, even better, because then you don't even realize it's gone. That's the best way to do it. Set it and forget it, right? You do that for 20 years and you put enough in there, you live by the recommendations that I teach, you will be a multimillionaire. You will retire with dignity and joy. Of course, we all don't want the slow and steady wins the race, and we don't want the do it, dial a bunch of phone calls. We want the exciting, sexy ventures that, this person had no experience and tomorrow they made $100,000, right? Real estate can do that kind of a blessing. Real estate has been, as a financial planner, I will tell you, real estate has been the quickest way I've seen for people to build wealth and to do it ethically. You got to follow. Who knows what I'm going to say? If you are watching me today and you know what I'm going to say about the number one rule of real estate, before I move on, I want you to drop it in the chat. And while we do that, I'm going to talk about a little bit about ethical business. In fact, I'll probably append this to the other section on the podcast where we talked about enslaving no one, because because you say, well, when have you seen people do something that wasn't reputable? I've seen a lot of people do a lot of shady things. And I even used to try to report it because I didn't want my conscience to be bothered. And then even when I better not. Yeah, I guess I can say that. Maybe I can say that because it doesn't matter now, but back in the day, it really mattered to me. When my ex-husband got involved in some shady stuff, it's part of why our marriage fell apart. And when he got his interview for his security clearance, to get his security clearance back, they asked me. So I brought all my documentation and I was like, this, that. And you might say, well, why did you keep all that? Well, because I had a top secret money, blah, 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 clearance back then. I have a car accident since then, so don't kidnap me. I can't do any of that stuff anymore. But back in the day, I was something, and I had all these clearances and stuff, and I did not ever want somebody to think that I was involved in any of that. So I had all my documentation of what he did. And they said, well, ma'am, I appreciate that this looks like you spent a lot of time on this, but we do want you to know that we have to interview you, but we don't ever take the ex-wife's testimony into consideration. And I was like, well, why is that? And they said, because the ex-wife comes in two flavors. Either she says the ex-husband walks on water and is the best thing since sliced bread because she wants him to get the job so that child support keeps on coming, or she's mad at him, hates him, and does everything she can to dog him out so he won't get the job, and his life is ruined. We live in a culture. And I'm giving you time. To write what's the number one rule of real estate in the chat. If you know the number one rule of real estate, drop it in the chat before I share it. And don't forget to include your Cash App, because with winning my quizzes comes with a little blessing. Now, it is a little blessing, but it's still a blessing. But yeah, so they said they don't even take the ex-wives' information into account. And so we live in a culture that is so accepting of untoward behavior. We live in a culture that is so accepting of immoral or unethical behavior when it comes to business, because for a lot of us, the ends justify the means. And I don't believe that. I think the means have to be correct, or the ends are really just toxic fruit, in my opinion. And so we want one of the things that one of the reasons I really caution people about jumping into this or jumping into that, and my friend got into this and now they're making 8 figures real quick, and my friend got into that, and it's just like, okay, well, some people can do that for sure, absolutely. Um, but my colleague, my old friend who jumps into every network marketing thing and quickly rises to the top and becomes a 7 and 8 figure earner, she's amazing. She knows how to grow a downline and how to keep them trained and fed and nurtured and keep them bringing more people in and keep them motivated. Like, she knows how to do that. Everybody don't know how to do that. Everybody don't have that way with people. And some of that, everybody says you can train it, but that's not always trainable. It is trainable, but many of us got into business for ourselves so we could escape all of that stuff, Not very few of us are actually really good and genuine with it. And so, I'm not, as a financial planner, I'm not going to recommend that for you because that's not going to work for everybody. Just the design of a network marketing company, it's not going to work for everybody. If you ever sit down and look at the actual crafted design of it, okay, and even the ones that require a minimum purchase, that's how they feed the system and keep it from becoming a Ponzi scheme, but it's still unsustainable as you grow and grow. So real estate is different though. Real estate doesn't have that same impact. Real estate doesn't stop working. Now, there's times when the market crashes, but real estate doesn't stop working. Okay, so nobody got the number one rule of real estate. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what it is. I was going to tell you what it is, but I put my slides in the wrong order. There are so many. I'm just going to say this slide first, all right? And then I'll tell you what it is. So you've got even more time to drop it in the chat, all right? There's a lot of different ways to profit from real estate investing. The ones I've got here shaded in blue, you can profit without buying the properties. And the ones I've got shaded here in green are ones that you can profit even if you're broke when you start. You don't have to start off with money to make money in real estate doing these things, all right? And so the number one rule of real estate investing is that you make your money when you buy. I'll say that one more time. You make your money when you buy. And one more time for the people in the back. You make your money when you buy. You make your money when you buy. If you are able to buy a property and you buy that property at enough of a discount, that property will always make you money. And even when the market crashes, even when people stop spending, even in COVID, you say, oh, well, some people didn't get their rent paid during COVID. Well, guess what? Guess what happened to me during COVID? That first month, all the renters did not pay rent. And you know what we did? We reminded them that because these properties don't have government funded subsidized loans on them, they are not subject to the CARES Act or whatever it was called back then that let people get out of paying their rent. And so I was like, if this is a hardship for you during the pandemic, we'll give you a grace month for you to move on your way without penalty. And I didn't have any problem with that again. Okay. And so there's a lot of people who say, oh, well, real estate this and real estate that is because they're buying properties too expensive, too highly leveraged, and they're not following the number one rule of real estate investing. All right. If you buy a property cheap enough, it'll always make you money. And if you have to liquidate it in a hurry, if you bought it cheap enough, another investor will give you cash for it and you'll still come out all right. Sounds simple, but it's not easy. It is simple, but it's not easy. All right. And so I like to say that everybody has to start somewhere. And so I'm not going to go through the time money continuum today because I have spent a lot of money on it. I mean, a lot of time on other things today. I have spent, let me say that again. Let me get a sip real quick. I've spent a lot of time on a lot of other things today. So I'm just going to say that on the left hand of the screen are the things where if you're an investor that has more time than money, that's the area you want to get started. Basically, you are serving investors who have more money than they have time. And because you are serving those other investors, now you are able to make some money in the process. And so if a lot of times I tell people, if you have more time than money, you got no savings, you don't have credit, you have no experience, bird dogging and wholesaling is where to start. And to summarize, Bird dogging is finding properties for another investor to buy. Okay. And so I want to make sure I explain this, because if you're new to foreclosure investing or you're new to real estate, it may seem crazy to you that people would actually get paid for finding properties. But the reality is a busy investor generally doesn't have time to scour the neighborhoods like he or she did back when they first got started. And so if you, as a newer investor, you scout out properties that look like they might be a good deal, or they might be owned by someone who just really tired of that headache property and they just want to get rid of it fast, then you finding that property represents great value to the investor. So bird dogging is when you find the property and tell them about it. The next level beyond that is called wholesaling. You find the property and you actually negotiate a good price. So in wholesaling, you've actually done some negotiation. You have locked down a contract. When that investor buys that contract from you, or buys the LLC that you have that contract through, then that investor knows exactly how much that property is going to charge. And if you did your homework and got a good deal, now you can earn 5 to 10% of that deal. Now, the reason I'm explaining these in a class that's about foreclosure consulting is because foreclosure consulting, at the end of the day, what you are doing is helping people in trouble. But a lot of times, the same skill sets and the same traumas and the same issues that led to them getting into trouble are what lead them into not being able to get out of the trouble in time to save the house. So when the house can't be saved, if the house can't be saved, if you're unable to negotiate with the bank, and if you're unable to come to a satisfactory solution to keep them in the home, one of the things you do as a foreclosure consultant is you connect that home with an investor who wants to buy it. And a good investor will usually find a way to make it a win-win-win for you as the person who found the property, the homeowner as the person who needs to sell it at a discount and move on with their lives, and the investor. Okay. Foreclosure consulting in its basic form is a wonderful, wonderful service, but there are a lot of people who've taken advantage of those in foreclosure. And that's why I say here to know your state laws, because some states have passed legislation that says if you advertise yourself as a foreclosure consultant, or if you say you're going to help these people out and help them prevent foreclosure, if you use languaging like stay in your home and things like that, depending on the state you're in, you could go to jail for buying the house. Okay. And so you don't want to go to jail. I don't want you to go to jail. None of us need to be in jail. All right. I don't have any disrespect to people who've served their time and have completed their sentence. However, I do not want to be in jail. All right. And I don't want anybody in my teaching to be in jail. All right. So we want to stay out of jail. We want to do things legally. There are some states where it doesn't matter. You say or do whatever it takes to get those people on the phone, or get them to text you, or get them to walk through your doors, or let you walk through theirs. But in many growing number of states, if you advertise about foreclosures, you cannot buy the house. However, you can facilitate another investor buying the house, and then you can work out a compensation arrangement. So that's that there. Okay. So why is it important for us to learn about foreclosure consultings? Well, this is not proving to be as true as I thought it was. Okay. Banks are not pushing the extensions as much as they were. Okay. They were pushing them really hard because, people can't afford. A lot of people couldn't afford to come out of those forbearances. And so you're starting to see a rising number of foreclosures. Although this slide was from last year, I don't think it's as bad as it was. People complain about the things the Fed is doing with the higher interest rates and stuff, but some of what the Fed was doing with all that, and I don't want to take the time now to go through all the equations and the machinations and the thought process. But let's just say one of the things that they're trying to do, even though it seems counterintuitive because interest rates are higher, is they are trying to smooth off the expected rates of increase of your foreclosures and trying to smooth off inflation and things like that. Okay. So without it being a huge shock to our economic system, what they're trying to do is smooth some of that out. I don't know if it's really having the same effect in all the areas that they're trying to, but some of the things that they're doing that we don't like has had an effect here. So the forbearances are ending. Most of them have ended. People are starting to have to work out payment plans and things like that. And it's putting them in a tough situation, but more banks are actually working with them than we originally thought. Okay. And so I think now is the time to get comfortable with foreclosure consulting so that if those problems happen, you will be in a position to help create win-win solutions that help the homeowner, help the bank, and help yourself to more money in your pocket. Let's do a quick overview of what foreclosures and foreclosure consulting is. So the foreclosure process is basically how a lender tries to recoup their money that's tied up in a property. Okay. So when the lender is not getting paid, they can force the sale of the property to try to get their money back. That's what a foreclosure is. They file paperwork with the jurisdiction, they get approval to sell the property gets sold, however that jurisdiction does it. Mine still does the courthouse steps. And then if the lender gets their money back, yay. If the lender doesn't get their money back, we'll talk about that some more later. Okay. There's 3 phases of profit that you can make with foreclosures. The first one is distressed sellers. This is before the sale. This is the most profitable of all, but it's also the highest risk of all. Okay. The next one is at the auctions. And here at the auctions, cash is king. If the property doesn't sell at auction, then one of the things that the bank will do, not let me rephrase that. If the property doesn't sell at auction for the price that the bank needs to make it work, then what the bank generally does is they keep bidding and bidding and bidding until they get to their number. And when they get to their number, they end up taking back that property or letting it go if somebody else outbids them. But a lot of times the bank will buy that property back because there's just not a whole lot of value there. If there was, the homeowners could have sold it the regular way or somebody else could have swooped in, you know. So the real estate becomes owned by the lender. That's why it's called REO, real estate owned. Okay. So that's after the auction. And you can find those because a lot of times they'll be put in as a short sale in the MLS if you're looking to buy a property through a realtor. One of the things that, well, I kind of already talked about this, so I'm not going to go into big detail about that, but I do want you to be educated. Foreclosure consulting, by far, foreclosure consulting, I think personally, is the easiest way to get started in real estate investing. If you're not trying to buy the house just yet, you just want to learn about investors and you want to learn about what things are going on, and you don't have any money. Like, I love tax sales. Like, I'm getting my new book, y'all, is coming out on tax sales. I'm excited about that new book. But you still have to have a couple $100 to a couple $1,000 depending on your jurisdiction to play in that space. Well, when you don't have anything, you can start off with foreclosure consulting. It doesn't take a whole lot of training, and it doesn't take a whole lot of anything but your own elbow grease, your time, and your energy. Okay. So I love that. It's one of the easiest things you'll ever do to get yourself started in real estate investing. However, you also have to be very mindful of your local ordinances to make sure you don't violate any protective state laws. We have a workshop coming up on the 29th of May. And if there's enough interest in that 2-hour workshop, if we get enough people who are asking really good questions and really participating and they really want to do it, I will schedule a Foreclosure Consulting 102 all-day class specifically on foreclosure consulting. Okay. If that's something that we have enough interest in. So let me talk about those 3 areas of foreclosure real quick. The first one is the distressed sellers. This is pre-foreclosure. This is before the property goes to be sold at the steps. This is when the homeowner has missed a payment and the bank is like, hey, we've been nice to you, but you're still not paying. We need to fix this. And so there's a couple different methods that the banks will allow the homeowner to try to get their financial life back together. And this is where you as a foreclosure consultant come in. You come in, and depending on the bank, some work nicer with you than others, but depending on the bank, you help the homeowner try to work a loan modification or a forbearance. A loan modification is where they're basically refinancing the loan. They're going to add the missed payments to the end, or they're going to refinance the entire amount to a new payment. They're going to do some kind of modification to the main principles of that loan, the main terms of that loan, okay? A forbearance, which a lot of people did during COVID, you're basically not having to pay for a few months. And that sounds really great, right? Except for guess what happened during COVID? A lot of people thought they didn't have to pay because they had this forbearance in place and they spent the money. And so then when it came due, they had a very limited round of choices. And thankfully for our society, a lot of banks, when people came out of forbearances that they hadn't been paying for like a year, they had been paying for their house, a lot of banks are rolling those into loan modifications as the homeowner comes out of the forbearance, okay? But if the homeowner can't get it straight with the bank, and if your attempts to help the homeowner get it straight with the bank fail, or if you feel comfortable helping them with their budget and it doesn't, and they just can't do it, they just won't do it. If none of those things work, you can find an investor to take the property off their hands and prevent foreclosure if the property numbers work and if they let you. One of the saddest things I've ever done is work with somebody who's facing foreclosure. And even at 11 o'clock at night, the day before the sale, those people were still hoping for a miracle. They were still planning on money dropping out of the sky. They were counting on somebody in their family tree. They just know somebody's passed away and left them unfound money. Like the things you hear from people who are facing they're down to the wire. It breaks my heart because as of, I think, let's see, when did I start foreclosure consulting? In 2005, probably 2004. And all those years, I've seen one person get somebody to pay off their house, get it caught up, and keep them from having to go to foreclosure sale. And I feel really bad for that young lady because I know what she did to get the guy to pay for her stuff. All right. So it's unfortunate that a lot of homeowners wait to the last minute and they're not actually taking the kind of action that they need. They may know deep down inside that they're not going to be able to keep that property, but they may not be open to you bringing an investor in. And you have to be very careful and gentle and understand that at the end of the day, their choices are their choices. And if they don't make the choices that keep them from going into foreclosure, then and they don't let you help them prevent it, well, there's not much else you can do. Okay. And so we want to understand that as well. All right. Well, I feel like that's such a down. I feel like I'm telling you guys all the down stuff. All right. Well, that's pre-foreclosure. That's where you're going to make the most money with this. The next stage of foreclosure is at the auction, and this is where cash is king. Did y'all notice my mug? Did y'all see my mug? My mug, my cash is king. Jesus is Lord. Cash is king and Jesus is Lord. At the auction, cash is king. Always, Jesus is Lord. So at the auction, this is the second phase of foreclosures. If the loan can't get fixed up and caught up or modified up or whatever it takes for everybody to be happy again and the bank's getting their money again in the pre-foreclosure stage, then the lender will push for foreclosure. The property will be sold if approved by the courts. And this is to try and settle out their property debts against the property. Okay. So there are some things that have to get paid out of that foreclosure, like taxes always take precedence. Okay. If you have a second mortgage on the property and you're trying to foreclose, you could get wiped by the taxes and the existing primary mortgage, you know. So those are some things to keep in mind. At the auction, cash is king. You've got to either pay in cash right that moment, or you have to have made arrangements to have it by certain, you know, by 2 o'clock that day or 4 o'clock that day. I got a rude awakening here in Erath County. I still need to sit down and talk with the ladies about exactly how this works. But there's some, you know, there's some properties that are local lawyers, and they'll work with you to go down to the clerk and get that filed. But we have another guy who comes in and he runs a circuit. He does a sale. You give him that check or that information for your bank and stuff. He moves to the next county and does their sale, and then goes to the next county and does their sale. You don't have till 2 o'clock to get your act together. You got to be ready. You know what they say: if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And when it comes to any foreclosures, sales done at the auction by his company, you got to stay ready for sure. For sure. All right. I already mentioned this. If the sale's too low, a lot of banks will actually bid it higher so they can get so that they can get the property back at what they need for, or so they can force the audience to pay what they need it for in order to satisfy the debt. All right. And if they can't, the bank buys it back, and now it's real estate owned. And so you can see a lot of those. Usually your short sale properties in the MLS are going to be real estate owned now. Short sale, I don't know if I explained that very well. Let me explain that real quick. Short sale is when a property is worth more than you can sell it for. Okay. So if I have a property that I owe $100,000 on it, but because there was a fire, or there was a hailstorm, or just the market crashed, or what have you, now the most I can get somebody to buy that property for is $80,000. Maybe it needs a lot of repair. $80,000 is the most I can get, but that's not enough to satisfy the loan. You can write the bank and you can present your case, take pictures and all that stuff. You can present your case and say, bank, this property is only going to carry 80,000. We're requesting that you will accept 80,000 as paid in full for the 100,000. And so that's what a short sale is. Okay. That's what a short sale is. Oops. Go back this way. Yeah, that's when a short sale is. More is owed on the property than it's worth. And the investor gets the lender to accept that less. Okay. Oopsie. I just canceled out my slides there. How did I do that? Oh, let's get back on there. Let's see if y'all still see that. Okay. Let's see. Does that say how you profit from helping? It's not saying how you profit from helping. What did I do wrong? I don't know that I did anything wrong. All right, let's just give me a share. Just give me a second here. I clicked something, and now it's got multiple instances of Windows. Like it just went. It's not spam. It's not spam. You know, I literally clicked something accidentally, and I don't know what I clicked, but I know I clicked something, and all these screens came up. So hold on a second. Let me get back to those slides. Okay, so all right. So how you profit from helping somebody, it depends on the area of the how how you profit from helping somebody depends on the area of the foreclosure process that you're in, the stage of the foreclosure process that you're in. With the pre-foreclosure stage, you work with the homeowner to try to do all the different things it's possible to help them get caught up. They either pay you if you want to charge them, or you can find local helping agencies to sponsor your fee. Now, in some states, you can still buy the property if you get them to agree, but many, the investor who buys the property is the one that pays your foreclosure consulting fee, as if you were a wholesaler, as if you were a bird dog. Okay. Another way to profit, if it's at the auction, the best way to profit while the auction is show up with cash, cashier's check, however your local jurisdiction does it. Usually that same day you got to pay, but whatever it is, if you can get that property at a discount, go for it. Okay. And then lastly, you can profit from, I don't know about really helping, maybe that's a bit of a misnomer on the slide, because if you're at the REO phase, that homeowner doesn't own that property anymore. The bank owns it. So, but if you can give the bank enough money, it might actually help the homeowner indirectly. I'll explain more about that some other time because I want to make sure I get through my slides. Okay. All right. So, oh, wait, no, we're about done. We're about done. Okay. So I'm going to actually explain that now. The reason, oh, hold on. The reason I say that sometimes buying the property, even at the REO phase, can help, this is very, 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 very unlikely, because if it were to happen, it could have happened at the auction, and it could have happened before the auction. But let's say that you were able to buy that property for more than what the bank thinks it's going to get. Now, the bank might set the price here, and then they think they're going to get here, and you come in up here, okay? Then the bank may not hold as accountable the homeowner for the difference in what was made. Okay, because if the homeowner owes $100,000 on the house, but the house is only worth 70 because of whatever reason, okay, then it goes to the auction, and at the auction nobody bid on it and the bank bid it up to 50. The homeowner is still technically on the hook for that other $50,000. And if somebody comes in and buys that property for more than that, then the bank could ideally, maybe not always, apply that overage to the property so that the homeowner doesn't have such a hit on their taxes. Because what happens when somebody forgives a big fat debt? It becomes like the same as income, and the IRS taxes the value of that gift. Okay, so that's what I meant by that. I don't know that I'm explaining it well because I am a little tired. It's been a very crazy day running around here and there, but it's been a good day though. All right, so I had two promises I made you in the beginning. One is that you can go out tonight and start researching all this stuff. You can go to the courthouse, you can find people in foreclosure, you can start building your consultant muscle. Now, when we go through the workshop, on May 29th, it's only $20.24. When we go through that workshop, I'm going to actually open up my computer and show you how to find deals, foreclosure deals, and comps. And then we're going to talk about county by county, where you go to take a look at the land records and where you go to find out who's recently been published on the foreclosure list. Every jurisdiction has a list of foreclosures, depending on whether or not they make it public is going to depend on is going to determine whether or not you can access it. And if you can access that list, then every day you can scan that list and get the newest people on the foreclosure list to add to your marketing funnels. All right. So tonight, what I've given you, if you know if you know where your county stores or your parish stores that information, and you know where the county or parish allows you to have, you can actually get out there tonight and you can find the homeowners who are in pre-foreclosure, and you can start crafting out a plan to contact them. You can start crafting out your 7 to 13 touch series of mail or texting or email or physically knocking on the door. Like, you can begin to craft that, and you can begin to create that as a checklist and a process. You can start doing that today, and you implement that tomorrow. You would be surprised. You might just find that you actually get somebody willing to let you take that house off their hands, and then you sell that contract to an investor, and within 2 weeks you got big money. Okay, so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the fact that you can take what you've learned today and actually do something with it. And we're also going to give you an opportunity to dig a little deeper. Okay, so when it comes to digging deeper, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a 2-hour workshop. Now, if you can't go ahead and buy it anyway. It's only $20.23, and you're going to get access to the recordings for life. So you can just, if you can't be there, you can just buy it. You're basically buying the recordings for $20.24. I mean, you can't beat that price for what you're getting. All right. And so if there's enough activity and enough participation, then we will schedule the 102 class, which would have which would have more details as well as contracts and scripts and things like that. Okay. All right. Keep in mind, this is our annual fundraiser. We appreciate donations of any size. If you have enjoyed what we've had, you can go to bit.ly/lovehelping, all lowercase, or you can also go to PayPal, use my Minister Wiggins at Gmail, or you can use nowadays, I've changed it to Queen of Cashflow, paypal.me/Queen of Cashflow. And then, oh my goodness, Venmo and Cash App are also Queen of Cashflow. Okay, so this is our fundraiser. We appreciate donations of any size. And that's the wrong one. Let me go back and get the right one. There it is. And if you have the ability to be online with us for that workshop, we would love to have you as a part. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open it up for questions. I don't see any actual questions in the chat, probably because this is so late. I don't normally do them this late. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but I'm here so late. But I'm going to pull up my Ask JJC form, and we'll see if anybody's responded there. Or I might not, because this computer is running so slow. Oh my goodness, it was already on Google Forms. I just tried to switch to the Ask JJC instead of the Phillips graduation party. Oh, there it goes. All right. Let's see what we got for responses here. All right, let's see. I see 2 new questions, but are they related to this? Let's see. That's really strange. Well, it looks like I'm not going to be able to answer this online. And to LaDonna out there, thank you. I wish I would have caught this 3 months ago. I don't know how I missed your comment about that. The other one we have talked about, but we didn't talk about it in the context of real estate because it didn't have anything to do with real estate. But we talked about that. We talked about that in a previous one before they put the question in here because we had a one-on-one session. Okay. I think that's all I've got for you today. I just realized I probably didn't look so very appetizing as I was trying to read all that. But that's all I've got for you today. I want to thank y'all for being on today. And if you're listening to me as part of the Ladies of Wealth podcast, then I encourage you to join us Thursday nights, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. We cover classes like this, and we take them and extract it from them and make them into the podcast. For many of the podcasts, sometimes we have interviews and sometimes we have just straight teaching that's not this style of teaching. But a lot of times, this is where we make the content for the podcast. And I would love for you to be a part of it, asking questions, dropping comments, interacting, all the things. All right. So for those of you who are online, I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank Dr. Eric for all his votes of confidence and encouragement earlier, and appreciate all of those things. I appreciate all of you. Y'all take care and be blessed.